from Robertson. Salah! At it again! Mo Salah, is this his moment? Yes, it is! Hat-trick in front of the Kop from Mo Salah! Salah! Irrepressible! Everything he touches turns to goals.
Mo, 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 he's Mo Salah. He certainly is in the FPL's most wanted.
Yes, we are. And the Fantasy Premier League show has been taken over by Mo Salah. Look at our gallery. That's all our team. And even our studio as well. All our camera crew loving Mo Salah. And there's Mo on Salah coming up in the show. Yes. But first, let's take a look back at game week 31, shall we? And there's only one place to start. 29 points for Mo Salah. It was quite incredible, wasn't it? His 4 goals and an assist last game week mean he's now scored more points overall than last season's top scorer, Alexis Sanchez. And Salah's still got another 7 game weeks to go. Now, a Crystal Palace defender was the second top point scorer for the game week. And it wasn't Patrick Van Aanholt. More surprisingly, it was this guy, James Tompkins. A goal, a clean sheet and second maximum bonus in 4 matches now helped him to a tally of 15 points. Now, Everton ended their away jinx at Stoke with a brace from Cenk Tosun. He's now scored 4 goals in his last 3 matches and has picked up 8 bonus points in that time as well. So the 100,000 managers that took a punt on him have been richly rewarded. And arguably, Fantasy Premier League's hottest defender right now was amongst the points again, Liverpool's Andrew Robertson. He started 16 of Liverpool's last 17 league games, so that left-back slot is pretty much definitely his, and he scored 11 points last game week, which is his highest tally of the season so far. But there's no arguing over who Liverpool's main man is. So it's over to Mark and James, who are hailing Mo Salah.
Mark Southern's last weekend, there were only 4 matches, and yet for most fantasy managers it turned out to be the biggest scoring weekend of the season, and the reason was?
Absolutely incredible. It was Mohamed Salah. Amazing. I'm proud to say I've had him since the very start of the season. I'm not proud to say I've only captained him twice, but thankfully one of them was last weekend.
You did urge everybody to captain him last week, and by and large most people did, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. 1.9 million, so it's just over 30% of managers backed him. 88 of the top 100, and that was kind of what we expected because he was a standout.
But about 2/3 of managers didn't actually back him then as captain.
Yeah, and absolutely. Also, 80% of managers who played the free hit captain, so 20% didn't, presumably because they brought in extra players and it gave them more choice. That actually hurt them.
29 points. I don't think we've ever seen such a high total for one game week from a player ever.
Absolutely extraordinary. Devastating for those who didn't captain him, but of course, as we say, many did. So it meant that 3-digit scores were everywhere. Really big scores from just 4 matches, which was incredible.
Well, of course, it's not the first weekend that he's impressed. And when you look at his totals for the season so far, absolutely extraordinary. He's 83 points ahead of the nearest player, Kevin De Bruyne, who's also had a pretty good campaign, but also he's already ahead of the points winner for the last 2 fantasy seasons.
Yeah, absolutely, and 8.9 points per match. Now, Aguero's next on 7 points per match. Massive gap there. 14 double-figure scores over the season. I mean, I knew he would do well, but I wasn't expecting what we've seen this season from him. And now we've got to think, what's the future? Do we hold him in our team for the rest of the season?
Yeah. Well, you'd be crazy not to, you'd think, at this point. We'll look at the fixtures in a second or two, but it's not just in fancy terms that he's doing so well, because he's on track to beat the goals record in the Premier League, not just for the 38-game season in the current 20-team format, but also the old 42-game season. It's absolutely amazing. 2 questions here. One, how much is his price going to be next season? And secondly, is he still going to be classed as a midfielder?
Well, this is the worry. Ronaldo, the only midfielder on this list, and we've seen Firmino was classified as a forward this season. Will Salah be next season? And price-wise, surely we got, if he's a midfielder, we're looking at 13, 13 and a half maybe. So I think it's going to be much more difficult to get Salah in our squad next season. So there'll be some excuses perhaps for not having him as captain then.
Well, we shall see. Mo Salah right now looking like the most important player for you to have in your teams, but it is worth just checking out quickly what fixtures await Liverpool between now and the end of the season. First of all, because Liverpool are one of the sides that don't have the double game week in game week 34.
Yeah, this is it. They don't have a double game week to come at all, so managers are going to be distracted by that, but I think Salah is one player that we can't dispose of. I think we can see the damage that he can cause, and look at the fixtures in game week 36 and 38. That's tailor-made for a captaincy for Mohamed Salah.
The other thing to mention is Liverpool, of course, are still in the Champions League. They've got the quarter-finals with Man City. Of course, Liverpool, the only side to have beaten Man City in the league so far this season. But that comes either side of the derby with Everton. If they get past that, there'll be fixtures on either side of the Stoke game. But around about here, is there a risk that Klopp might start to rotate?
Maybe. It's interesting. Klopp said that actually Mohamed Salah gets his rest on the pitch. So I think Firmino or Mane could be more at risk than rotation. But I think we'll see Salah perhaps withdrawn with 10 minutes to go, but he can still get big scores with 80 minutes on the pitch, let's face it. Certainly that Palace game, he could score big again. All
right. Mo Salah then the #1 point-scoring player. Let's have a look now at the number 10, well, the top 10 point-scoring managers.
Don't even know why I'm bothering asking you this next question, but I will, because Shuba Sigdal kindly sent it in. So he's asking, Mark, will you keep or sell Salah?
You've got to. I don't know whether I'm going to captain him, maybe in 36 and 38, but I'm certainly going to keep Salah because he's just absolutely devastating. And I just think Liverpool got good fixtures as well, so there's no excuse to get rid of him.
No double game week for them, though?
I don't think it matters. Not what we've just seen. It's too scary to go without Salah, surely.
Well, you may have already answered the next question. This comes from Handy Andy in Denmark. Hello to you, Handy Andy. No double game week. Salah, though, still has Bournemouth, Stoke and Brighton at home. Is he worth triple captaining in one of these?
Well, he could be, because obviously we've just seen what he did in game week 31. I just think the triple captain should be used in a double game week always, and I'm looking at Kane for game week 37. If that's when he gets a double game week, he's got West Brom and Newcastle. I think that's a very good combination. Salah will be a differential, though, and that's the thing. He could be, you know, against Stoke and Brighton.
Can he be with that ownership?
He can be, because managers are going to go for, certainly for a double game week player in game week 37 and in game week 34, so Salah could be effective in those game weeks.
There's few players who've been as reliable in terms of returns as Mo Salah. When we think, you, for example, last year, what did you get with your triple captain?
I got about 9 points with
9
Aguero.
points with Aguero. So someone like him, even if it's not a double game week, you might be tempted. Though.
Yeah, well, he's likely to be the top scorer at the end of the season. Last season, let's take a look now at the teams then that have that double game week, because these teams with 2 double game weeks are the teams I'm going to be focusing on bringing players in. Is that the right move?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a mix of, you know, these expensive players in these 3 teams and then some cheaper options in these lower options. I think that's the way to go. I mean, we've got to look at the players that are going to play the most matches. They've got the biggest potential for points, and if you've got the free hit, you can recruit from these teams with no regard for the postponements. So in our situation, that's a good place to be. Now,
you've already mentioned Vardy and Mahrez and how you think that they could be crucial for our wildcard teams. Why is that?
Yeah, because we're looking for a certain profile of player here. We want players that are going to play both matches. And in some of the teams like Manchester United and Spurs, rotation's an issue. With Leicester, it's less so. Certainly these two I expect to play right through to the end of the season. And with Leicester's 2 double game weeks, I think they're going to get 2 matches in both situations. And, of course, they can combine and they can be big scorers.
OK, so, for example, a Sane and a Sterling both playing for Manchester City, they will have their double game week towards the end of the season, possibly in game week 37. But they're not as guaranteed with their place, are they, like Mahrez is?
No, absolutely. If you're playing your bench boost in game week 34, it's all about getting as many players with 2 matches as possible. So you want 2 starters. So straight away, Leicester with their fixtures, with their 2 double game weeks, these 2 jump out for me. And I think a lot of wildcard teams are going to turn to Mahrez, and I think Vardy up front as well, because the price is good too. They're mid-price players, so not too expensive, but they can deliver.
OK, now, those of us that have got our wildcard active, like us, what do we do about Harry Kane? Because he's, of course, out injured at the moment, likely to come back around the middle of April. But what do we do until then? Do we get someone in that, or do we save the money in the bank? How are you thinking the best way to do this is? Because I want him back.
Of course. We're going to want him for game week 37, if that's when the double game week is, because his fixtures there could be Newcastle, West Brom. He's a triple captain then. But even for game week 34, with 2 fixtures, we want Kane. He can be devastating. It's all a bit vague. We don't know if he's going to be fit yet. I think what you've got to do, if you're playing a wild card now or game week 33, you've got to plan to get Kane in. So get a big striker in place and save a transfer, or if you can, save 2 transfers for game week 34. Now, you can only do that if you wildcard in 32, but that could be vital to getting Kane in for that double game week.
So what's your plan? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to get probably Lukaku or Aubameyang up front, and I'm going to get Son in midfield, and then save my transfers for game week 34. And if Kane's going to be fit, it'll be Son out for a cheaper midfielder, Lukaku out for Kane, I imagine. At the moment, that could all change, but that's what I'm planning.
OK, you heard it here first. James.
All right, then. Well, many thanks for everyone sending in all those Twitter questions. That wraps it up for this week, though,
It does indeed. And on next week's show, we're going to be back same time, same place. And Mark Sutherland will be showing us his wildcard team.
Woo!
Well, good day to you from the home, perhaps for the last time.